Lovely day down here today. One man and his dog. And there are some swimmers. There's Archie. Lovely day. Not even that cold today. So I'll wander up here, shall we, Arch? Well, I am. Archie's not coming. Look, swimmers must be mad. Come on.
I love watching them diving around when they're nesting, feigning injuries. They do.
Bonkers. Hi, I'm Shoestring Jane. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things thrifty, frugal and money saving. And today I thought I'd do a kind of 5 frugal things roundup for the last week or so, but also admit to a no spend January fail. So some of you may also be doing a no spend month alongside me, and maybe you failed, maybe you're doing really, really well. My fails were tiny. I'm not bothered. I haven't spent an awful lot of money. I haven't been buying clothes on the internet. I haven't been going crazy in charity shops, although one of my no spend fails was because I went to take some stuff into a charity shop. Always a bad idea during a no spend month, because then of course I want to have a look. I can't resist. And I just happened to glance at some shelves as I was going by, and there was a brand new box of plates, a set of dinnerware, bowls, side plates and dinner plates, and we're really short of them. We're not short of plates, we've got loads of plates. They're chipped, they're glazed, lots of them were second-hand in the first place. Some of them are looking really tatty now, and I think, well, I don't need to eat from really chipped plates. So I was looking out for some reasonable plates. I don't care if they don't match, a mismatch is quite nice. I quite enjoy that. But I happened to see this and it was £8, and I'll just show you a couple of things from them. I've been using them, obviously. So it was just a cute little pattern, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And there were 4 plates, 4 side plates, 4 bowls, for £8. So you can't do better than that anywhere, can you? So I just thought, if I don't get them, I'm going to really regret that, because it's something I actually want and something we need. So I did get them. My other fail was some curtain rings. So that cost £8. The curtain rings cost £10.99, and I bought them from eBay, and that was that wasn't an impulse purchase. I just was looking at the curtain rings that we had in the sitting room and just thought, they just look horrible. And I was going to change the curtains, so I thought, I'm going to buy them. I'm going to buy the right colour ones. They were the wrong colour. They were like black, brown, and they just didn't match. So I bought them. So those are my 2 no spend fails. I don't really consider those massive fails. Both of those things are items that I probably would have bought next month or in March anyway. I definitely would have bought the curtain rings. So there kind of seems no point in sitting saying, well, I'm not spending during January, and then on the 1st of February I'm going to buy all these things I need. So I've been very good at curtailing my spending generally. So I think if those are my only 2 fails, then I haven't done too badly. I'm not too disappointed with that. Oh, Archie, are you comfy enough, little boy? Are you? I'm glad you're being good, and let me get on with stuff. So these are the curtains. You can't really see them because they're against the light, but these are just a pair of curtains we had in the bedroom, and I think I actually got them. I think I got them from a charity shop. They definitely were second hand, I can't remember. But there was a long pair of curtains that were in the previous lounge here. You may have seen them in different videos, and they were really tatty. They were in need of a dry clean, and they were long, and they were kind of getting in the way of the radiator. And then I remembered I'd got these. They also had a dark, almost black. There were brown curtain rings, because this curtain rail was here but didn't have any rings, and the only ones we could find were really dark wood ones that Justin pulled off a different pole, and they looked really horrible. So that's what I bought. This is one of my January no spend fails. I kept looking at them thinking, that's really bugging me, and I'm going to change the curtains anyway, so I am going to spend £10.99 on some pine coloured curtain rings. So they do look a lot better, and so these are shorter. And the other good thing about these is that they have a thermal blackout lining as well, so which is good, what you need, isn't it, in this case. So one of the orchids is actually coming back to life. I normally kill my orchid top every year. They stop at some point, all the flowers will fall off and you think they're dead, and then they come back in the spring, so that's good. If somebody can tell me how to keep them flowering all year round, that would be marvellous. So moving on to my 5 frugal things for the week. The first one wasn't really anything to do with me at all. It was to do with a very kind viewer called Jane also, who noticed that in one of my videos I had said, I'd love to have a dehydrator, and she had a spare. So she contacted me and said, I've got a spare, do you want it? We're not using it. So I said, yes, please. And she very kindly sent it to me. So I'll show you that in a moment. And I've been talking to Tess, who you may watch her channel as well, Tess Frugal Food Finance and something. Anyway, I'll link her channel below, who uses her dehydrator quite a lot because she grows a lot of her own food. So I knew that she'd be able to give me some hints and tips, and she has done. She's given me Facebook groups and YouTube channels to look at and all sorts of things. So, and she's also told me that because her boys just don't like eating vegetables that much, she conceals them by dehydrating things like kale and then grinding them up into powders and just sprinkling them on, and they never know that they're eating them, which I think is absolutely ingenious. So yes, I'll be looking at doing things like that and experimenting, particularly if we do get a few bits growing outside. I don't think we're going to do a proper veg patch this year, but I would quite like to maybe get some grow bags on the patio and do some tomatoes and perhaps a courgette or two, just see what else there is, that I can grow easily in pots on the patio. So I'll be looking at doing that anyway. So the other thing I have been doing this week, which I said I was going to do in my video where I kind of did my New Year's resolutions collab with Claire's Journey and Jane Frugal Queen Advanced, Tess again, and Frugal Joe. One of the things I said I was going to do this year, better than last year, was to track my spending, which I have been doing religiously. I have to say, it's an awful lot easier to track your spending when you're on no spend January. There's not very much to put in there. I did have to buy some gifts which were budgeted for, so I did say in advance that I was allowing myself gifts because I had a couple of birthdays that I had to spend money on. So obviously I had to track that spending. I tracked the grocery spending, things like fuel. I'm trying to think what else there is, apart from my little misdemeanors in the charity shop and on eBay. I haven't bought a lot more. So obviously tracking your spending when you're not spending much is easy, but it's a good month to get into the habit. So as soon as I've been coming in, or at some point really soon in the evening, I've been remembering to get my receipts out, track any spending. When I bought the eBay thing online, I put that straight in my budget book. Somebody asked me what my budget book looks like actually the other day, so I thought I'd show you. So it's this one. It's very similar to the one I had last year. It's not actually identical, but it's very similar. I'll show you January day-to-day spend. This is where you track your spending. And then you've got a place to keep your receipts, which is quite handy. And then you can put your income, your savings, and your budgeting. So that's where for February I'll be writing down all of the regular bills that we know we've got coming in, or any expenses that I know that we're going to have for February. So that will go in the budgeting. So you don't need a book to do budgeting. I find it helpful to have a book. I'm old school. I like to see things, and it's just easy to grab it. The other thing is, if I did a spreadsheet, I probably wouldn't remember to update it because my laptop's nearly always upstairs, and I'd have to go and open the laptop and open the spreadsheet and put the spending in. Whereas this one I can keep in the sitting room. If I'm sitting there in the evening watching TV or reading a book or whatever I'm doing, it's there. So it's a reminder of what I need to do and how I need to track the spending. So for me, a book is a good idea, and I will link that below. So what else have I done? Oh yes, I listed a huge box of Boston heads. I've got one here that I broke actually, just to give you an idea. This one is no good for listing now because it's quite damaged, but this is the kind of thing. They're vintage chalkware, so that of course they chip because they're made of chalk and they're hand painted on underneath, and they're from the 60s, so they're quite old. But I dropped this one. I bubble wrapped it and then dropped it. which was very stupid of me. So I probably will glue that back on, and well, maybe I'll give it to the charity shop. I don't know if anybody will want to buy it if it's been repaired. So, but you know, they might. People like to refurbish these because they get so chipped, and you get people like to kind of paint them back on. He was actually in quite good nick apart from his nose. And they don't go for a lot of money, but they cost us no money. Justin and his brother, I think I mentioned several years ago now, they helped a friend. She became a friend. Jonathan used to do her garden, and then she was moving. Her husband died, and she was moving. She had this massive house to clear out, and they helped her clear a lot of the stuff. And she let them take whatever they wanted, and they collected a big bag of bossons, which I did about a month or so ago before Christmas. And then I knew there was another box out in the garage somewhere, so I bought them in. And they don't go for masses. They go from about £10 to £12 each. But, you know, they don't take any time. It's easy to photograph, easy to list. And, you know, even if I just make a tenner a time, it's worthwhile when you've got a lot of them. I mean, I think we must have altogether, I don't know, I must have about 70 listed now. But she was a big collector of them, obviously. I mean, I think they're hideous. But, you know, that's the thing with vintage. It's people like what they like, don't they? And I respect that. I think that's great. I like lots of things that other people would think was really old-fashioned and a bit weird. So it's great that we're all different. We don't all have to be really generic, do we? And all like the same up-to-date things. So my office is looking very messy. Lola always has to make an appearance, doesn't she? But these are the Bosson's heads that I have listed. I've got the whole box here that I did. Some of them are a bit bashed. I've done these as 3 damaged ones together as a lot in case somebody wants to refurbish them. So I sat and did all of those. I did a pair of old Adidas, well not old, they're quite new, Adidas trainers that Justin bought, and they were the wrong size. They weren't very comfortable for him, so I thought I'd sell those as well. So I actually managed to get some listing done this week, which is really good. You say hello, Lolly. Meow. You say hello. Oh, sausage. It's a delicate little purr, haven't you? Yeah, good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. I'm proper excited because one of my viewers, thank you Jane very much for this, sent me a spare dehydrator that she had. She had 2 and she said they weren't using this one, so they sent it to me. And I'm just so excited. I've wanted a dehydrator for ages. So now I'm going to use this one. I'm going to go and talk to Tess from Tess Frugal Food and Finance because she has one. So I know she knows what she's doing with it, and just ask her what's a good thing to start with. I mean, also got no fresh produce from the garden at the moment. I don't even know if we're going to actually get around to doing the vegetable patch this year, but we probably will do some fruit though. But we probably won't get the fruit this year because it takes a few years to get going, doesn't it, with raspberries and that kind of thing. But I can still use gluts of shop and farm bought fruit and vegetables. So, and my daughter's seen a thing on TikTok for sweets, dehydrated sweets, which I'm not going to do, but she can have a go at doing that if she wants. But yeah, really excited. Thank you so much, Joan. I really, really appreciate this. It's fantastic. Another thing I said that I was going to start doing this year in a previous video was comping, so entering competitions. And I have been doing that. I mean, I started off doing a lot more than I'm doing now because life has got busy again. But I'm still, every day I'll do a few competitions. And because I started reading, I was writing an article about it and I got really inspired. And then I spoke to my friend Martin and he told me all the things that he'd won because he's an avid comper. And I had a look on Super Lucky Die's website, Super Lucky Me. And I've said this before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but you may not have seen the previous videos. And I just got really inspired and I thought, yes, I'm going to have a go this year. So I was really quite pleased to this month to get my first win. And because I tagged my daughter Izzy, who you'll have met in previous videos, I tagged Izzy in the comments. She also received this. It's a beautiful mandala necklace. I'll show you that now. Very excited because I just received a parcel with my first ever competition win from Muru, who make nice jewellery. So let's have a look. See if I can do this with one hand. I can't. Let's come back. At Christmas in January. Oh, how cute. A nice little card. And the nice thing about this competition was that I just had to tag a friend, and then the friend also got a piece of jewellery, and that was my daughter Izzy, who you will have seen in previous videos. So that was quite nice. The box. I'm not doing very well doing this. I should have got my tripod. Oh, see, that's really nice. It's called a mandala. Mandala. The health. Oh, we need some of this, look. Health and happiness. The mandala is a sacred symbol that represents the circle of life and the universe. So I know about mandalas because I did yoga training and we looked at those. How pretty is that? That's so nice. I'm really pleased. My first win of 2023. Let's hope it's not the last. So another thing that I have done to be frugal this week and this whole month actually, because as I said, as part of my no spend month, I do obviously buy groceries. We need to eat and we do want some fresh milk and eggs and bread and things like that. So I do still go grocery shopping, but I try to keep my spend low. And I've done a previous video about the kind of things I was eating from the stores. I've continued to do that this week. And I have just made a really, really nice recipe using up things from the stores, which I'm going to show you as well. It looks really good. Haven't eaten it yet though. It's for tonight's dinner, but I'll show you that. So I'm in the kitchen today. I am still using stuff from the store cupboard, and I'm just thinking, I kind of go to recipes like Good BBC Good Food, which is a really, really good website for inspiration. And I wanted to do something with rice. I found a cheesy rice bake. I don't have half of the vegetables that they're suggesting you put in, so I'm just adapting. I've got the basic topping, which I think is the most important bit. So I'll show you what I'm going to put in it. So the recipe asks for aubergines and courgettes with tomatoes, and then you have this kind of topping with rice, risotto rice actually, eggs and cheese on the top to make a bake. I don't have that, so, and also don't want to use onion today because it does really aggravate. I use onions sometimes, but if I use it too much and too often, it really aggravates my IBS. So I'm using celery instead. Just to give that kind of satisfying crunch. I'm going to put a bit of garlic in though. I mean, garlic, I can't have too much garlic either, but that's okay. And I'm going to use some mushrooms. So I think that'll be enough to replace 2 courgettes and an aubergine. And the pepper is one of the ones from my wonky pack you may have seen in my Aldi haul, where I was trying to buy healthy food from Aldi on a budget. I bought a massive pack of peppers and I've been using them loads this week. So they've been very easy to use. I thought I might have to freeze the excess. There were about 6 peppers in there. I've got 1 left after this, so that's fine. I've been able to use that. In fact, I'm probably going to regret using them so quickly. Yes, I'm going to put mushrooms in, peppers, some of the spinach, which is just out of the freezer. I'd forgotten I bought this actually. It was in the freezer in the garage, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to fry these up first like onions. And I've already got the risotto rice on the go. I've never cooked risotto rice, not in a risotto, so I'm just boiling it this time. We'll see how that turns out. The idea of you mix it with beaten egg and cheese. I need 140 grams of cheddar. This is one of the things I do need to buy this week. I've got about 130 grams. I'm going to make it slightly cheesier by adding a bit of this sort of type Parmesan type cheese, Grana Padano, and that will make it nice and cheesy, I think. So here goes. In with the celery and garlic. Turn it up slightly. In with the peppers and mushrooms. stir frying them a bit. Let's see how this risotto rice is doing. That, I think, is fine. It hasn't gone quite al dente. It's gone quite puddingy, isn't it? Try and get hold of boiling hot rice with your fingers, Jane. Just slightly too al dente, I think. Leave that a bit longer. I think that will do the vegetables. So I'm going to add a tin of tomatoes. And then add the spinach. That's obviously got to defrost in that mixture, so I'm going to put a lid on that in a moment. Let's add some pepper. My pink salt. I'll adjust that later if I need to. And some, the recipe doesn't ask for this, but you know, I'm putting in turmeric in a lot of things at the moment. I like it. The thing I'm going to add is a little bit smoked paprika, which I also really like the taste of. So I kind of just adapt as I go. I'm sure you will do this as well. Sometimes my experiments are good, sometimes they're not so good. But if you don't experiment, you'd never invent anything new, would you? So, and sometimes you get a feel for what's going to go together. Okay, right, I'm going to drain the rice and put a lid on this and leave that to cook for a bit. So while that's cooking, I've just been grating the cheddar. I'm going to grate some of this just to mix it in. Nice and strong. I've got another whole one of these, and I think you may have seen in my Aldi haul, because I am planning to make some keto crackers. I haven't got around to that yet this week, but I haven't been desperate for them. But I will need to do them in the next day or so. I think that will do for now. That's a lot of cheese. So I've got to mix, I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. I've got to mix about 2/3 of that into the mixture and save 1/3 to sprinkle on top. So I think it's about right. Should have used a bigger board really. One thing I'm really short of is decent chopping boards. That is something I want to invest in, but not during my no spend January. This is 2 eggs. I've heard a lot from viewers of my channel in the US at how expensive eggs are there. I mean, I thought ours would go up more because we have had avian flu, as I think they have in the US. I think that's the problem. But although we had an egg shortage for a few weeks, you just couldn't find them hardly anywhere. They didn't have any in the major supermarkets. I found one in the little independent newsagents in the end. I found a couple of packets, a couple of boxes. But apart from that, it hasn't been too bad really. So we've been quite fortunate that eggs are still available and not horrifically expensive. I mean, they've gone up, but everything's gone up, so you expect that with the cost of transport and everything, but they're not horrific. Look, that looks like kind of custardy rice pudding, doesn't it? Interesting. Okay. Move on to my next step. So my mix is looking nice, I think. The spinach has kind of defrosted into it. I did have to add quite a lot more seasoning. I added some more salt and pepper and some mixed herbs as well. So it's not too runny. I'm just going to put it in this old Pyrex dish. Old ones are the best ones, aren't they? Although these new ones are good as well. This is from Tesco's, this brand, and I really, really like it. It's called Scoville. I've got a couple of things from that this now. It's medium priced, but really good. I think it's really good quality. I use that a lot, that pan. I even use it as my wok now. So, that goes in there. The rice goes on top. I really hope I've done a big enough dish, and also I haven't done it too runny. It's a bit like a crumble, isn't it? If you make the crumble too runny, it all comes over the top rather than going crispy. We will see. This is what happens when you adapt a recipe. Although I didn't adapt the amount of liquid. This was the amount of liquid, which was just a can of tomatoes. If you could make this with vegan cheese. I guess you could. You could make a vegan version. Some of the vegan cheeses are quite good for melting now, aren't they? Well, that will set because it's got the egg in it. So that will help that set. I really just hope it stays a bit crispy because I think that will be really nice. Like when you make little rissoles and they're crispy and cheesy. That's quite even. Let's get that bit more even. And then the cheese goes on the top. And this may seem like an odd thing to add, but since I am looking to eat more plants, as per Tim Spector's advice, I'm going to put some sesame seeds on this as well. I have a lot of them. I bought a mass from, actually I can't remember where I bought them from now. I bought a big load of them. And really, I have to make an effort to use these or they're going to go off before I can. They're good for baking and things, aren't they? And I put them, sometimes I put them on my breakfast if I have porridge or yoghurt. But I think they're really nice. When I was vegetarian years ago, I used to put these on a cheesy topping quite often. So they go nice and toasty. So I'm not going to cook that yet. It's only lunchtime. I'm just getting ahead of myself. So that will take about 30 minutes in the oven. So when I do that, I'll try and cook something else in the oven at the same time because I don't want to have the oven on for just one thing. So perhaps some more chicken for Archie's pet food or some kind of dessert. I'll see if I've got any bread ends and that kind of thing to use up for a bread pudding. And I'm really pleased with our grocery spend so far. I mean, as I am filming this, it is Wednesday I'm just looking at my calendar, 25th of January. So we have only got a few days left. We haven't got that long to go till the end of January. And I usually budget, all last year I was budgeting £250 a month for groceries and household and some of Archie's food, the chicken. And this year I'd put it up to £275 a month thinking, well, everything's going through the roof and I'm going to struggle to keep to that. And I think we've spent about, I looked last night actually, I can't remember the figure, it was about £155 I think. Oh, hello Dora. Oh, there's always a cat, there's always a dog or a cat interfering. I don't want you there. You're going to have to go down, you're a little bit big. This is what she does, she growls. Anyway, she's put me off her train of thought. I think I've spent about £155 so far. So we're going to come in well under budget. I do need to do a small shop tomorrow where I just need to buy some milk. Don't need eggs. Do need cheese. I've used the last of the cheese up in tonight's recipe. Nothing else actually, because I've bought an odd box, which I'm going to show you in another video, which is coming tonight, which will have fruit and vegetables. So I don't think I'll need much else. Honestly, it's a menagerie here. It's really, really hard to be professional with these stupid cats and dog. He's being good at least at the moment. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the grocery spend. I think we're doing really well on that. I'm also trying to eat really, really healthily because I am trying to eat more fruit and vegetables. I am trying to eat no processed food, although I'm going to Justin's mum's tomorrow and she asked me if I like lasagna, so we're going to have a lasagna which she won't have made from scratch. So I'm going to eat some processed food because, you know, life is what it is, isn't it? if I'm going to someone's house for tea, I can't expect them to make something specially to suit my dietary requirements. So I'll have that. That's okay, just as a one-off, and I'll take some healthy snacks and things with me so that I don't give in to crisps and things. I'll make sure I take some nuts and some seeds and just some sort of healthy nibbles. So I'm trying to eat a lot more vegetables. I'm trying not to eat any processed food. I'm really cutting back on sugar. I've already cut back a lot on caffeine. I only had 2 things with caffeine in each day as it is. I have 1 cup of coffee with caffeine usually. And first thing in the morning I have a cup of leaf tea, which has got caffeine in it. The rest of the time I drink things like my turmeric tea, which I really like, or just decaf. So that works for me. I've already cut out a lot of caffeine. And I'm trying to eat more healthy fats as well because they're very good and anti-inflammatory. So I'm just generally trying to learn about it, and I'm trying to do that, but all the time with a view to the fact that, I'm on a budget. So I have to be realistic about what I can afford. So that's my 5 frugal things. And one other thing that happened this week, which I'm really pleased about, is you will know that I published a book in, I think it was very end of October, which was Extreme Frugality, Save Money Like Your Grandma. I will link below as usual. I actually got a royalty check from Kindle and from Amazon, so I haven't had it yet, but I've got a notification that it's going to come. So all those months and years of actually working to write the book are finally paying off. I'm not a millionaire, I'm not selling that many, but I'm selling enough to have made it a worthwhile experience. So it's really good. I'm very encouraged, and I do have ideas for a couple more books, so I'm going to try to get on with at least one of those this year and just get started. That's the hardest thing, get started. No, it's not the hardest thing. Keeping up the momentum is equally hard. So if you want to buy a copy of my book, don't forget the link is below. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, to like and subscribe, and do give me your comments. What have been your 5 frugal things? Have you done 5 frugal things this week? Did you have a no spend month fail, or do you just not bother with no spend January because you want to hit the sales or whatever? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.